I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, January the 24th, brought to you in part by the Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. That's on the eastern end of no man's land, Oklahoma Panhandle, owned by Jeff and Jerry Slatton and Gerald Ratcliffe. And they'll do you so many different ways, you'll have to like one of them. But seriously, they will do whatever it takes to get your business. They've got the best buyer base in the Southern Plains, and the facilities are just out of this world. The sale barn was built in 1931, but nearly all the pens are brand new, and the ring and the newly remodeled office and everything is first class. But check out Beaver County Stockyards for your cattle marketing needs. Less than 50,000 head of negotiated fed cattle sales in your 5-area feeding region last week. That's ridiculous. It wasn't a holiday week. Your packers weren't buying for a holiday week. That averages less than 10,000 in each of the 5 areas. In 1996, when I got out of college and went to work for USDA Market News, I was in the Amarillo office, and we called feedlots all day, every day, totaled up all the sales that they got on their out of the feedlots going to packers. We totaled them up on a big yellow tablet with a fat pencil and added them up. In 1996, we would get over 500,000 negotiated cash sales in the 5-area feeding region. We were averaging over 100,000. Now we're less than 10,000. Mandatory price reporting has enabled formula sweetheart deals, vertical integration, and the AMAs, as I guess we're supposed to call them now. That's the politically correct term for a sweetheart deal. Remember, the first requirement of an AMA or a sweetheart formula deal is you have to promise all your cattle to one packer, eliminating competition. Where's our price discovery? Where's our market transparency? We don't have any anymore. But, you know, the fact that they did buy such few cattle, and I told you guys on the last visit for Monday that they were going to be short bought. At least one packer was coming out scrambling on Monday morning looking for cattle to ship in on Tuesday because they had nothing hanging but the hooks, guys. And you'd think that would stir a little bit more trade and stir some higher prices. Yes, for the cattle that they could get immediate hand to mouth right there, they were paying $2 over the market for last week, but they're hidden in on the formula sales, so that doesn't really get reported. You can't see it for sure. You don't know how many head sold or anything else. But that's the way they hide everything, keep everything under the covers where we can't see what's going on. Really ridiculous. But the rest of these packers are going to be needing cattle here by the middle of the week. And I just hope that the guys hold their feet to the fire whenever it comes time to get some sent in there, because they didn't buy near what they need to. And I realize we need less than 20% open market negotiated cash sales. But when they're buying less than 50,000 head in your entire 5-area feeding region, that's not doing that, guys. Let's talk about your board to start the week out on Monday. February live cattle futures were up 85 cents at 157.47. That was friendly. April was up 62 cents at 160.55. I'm not sure if the word leaked out that the packers were short bought. I'm not sure if your traders and your funds saw your cattle on feed report as a bull, even though all 3 of the different categories were on the bearish side on the numbers. But we talked about that on our last visit, about how it was surprisingly good, even though it didn't quite reach your average of the analyst guess. The average of the analyst guess was too aggressive. Your back months on live cattle futures were up 42 cents to up 85. January feeder cattle were up $1.25. That was mostly due to the grains. 179.17 on January feeder cattle. March was up $2.30 at 183.27. Back months on feeder cattle up 85 cents to up 215. But like I said, your grains were down. March corn down 10 cents at 666 and a quarter. March beans down 16 and a quarter at 14.90 and a quarter cent a bushel. Weighted average on last week's negotiated, meager negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5 area feeding groups totaled up to just 49,800 head. That's pitiful. That's ridiculous. We've given up our market, guys, given up any kind of leverage that we ever had. You remember whenever they took the hog market away from your independent hog feeders, they didn't want to have to quote a price for hogs. And once they took all the trade away from them, there was no negotiated trade. It was very easy to go in there and force all of those independent feeders to become contractors. That's what will happen in your cattle feeding business too, guys. But that 49,800 head last week compared to 62,700 head the previous week and 59,500 the same week a year ago. Live sales steers and heifers last week ranged from 153 to 158. That was $1 to $2 lower. Weighted average on live steers was 155.32, down $1.46. Dress sales 243 to 251, $1 to $5 lower. Dress steer weighted average 248.22, down $2.89 for the week on your dress sales, which most of your northern plains, especially Nebraska sales, were dressed because the cattle are so muddy that they can't get a live bid for them. So they took a hunk out of them last week, guys. Nationwide, the entire nation, direct negotiated sales added up to only 63,500, about 10,600 or 17% of those are for the 2 to 4 week delivery, which also enables your packers. But that 63,500 negotiated sales nationwide compared with 46,700 negotiated grid, which doesn't have any negotiation in it, it's just grid. Forward contracts 13,000. Formula sales 272,800 head. It's just pitiful that we've lost all the competition, all the transparency, all the price discovery in our fed cattle market, and you know, it's just, if you guys can't see it, that it's just going to implode. I don't know. I've been preaching it to you for years here on this report. Box beef cutout values were lower. Choice cuts are down 28 cents at 271.44. Selects down $1.94 at 254.49. Your slaughter was pretty decent for Monday, 124,000, and that's pretty typical for a normal Monday. Talk about what else is going on. The Night Latch Group, which is Andy Cunningham out of Laverne, Oklahoma, they want you to hang on to your investment, and that goes with the Night Latch, guys. But they sell crop insurance, they sell the LRPs, but they're really pushing hard on this livestock gross margin policy that they've kind of figured out. They can show you how you can protect your corn and your cattle at the same time with one easy policy there, guys. And go to nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Real-time index on DV auction based on an 800-pound cash steer, 175.67 at the end of trading on Monday. That was actually up 14 cents compared to the end of last week. So did have some decent sales up in the northern plains, and some of them were higher, some of them quite a bit higher. But Oklahoma City kind of caught up with the losses everybody else had last week. They were steady to $4 lower on feeders on 8,900 head. Steer calves were also steady to $4 lower. Heifer calves sharply lower, 12 to 14 lower, and more than that in spots. I mean, they took the rug out of the heifer calves, but that's what everybody else experienced last week. So you know, that's just the market, guys, and the Oklahoma National Stockyards is our feeder cattle market for the nation, and it's going to happen to them too. Light receipts is also happening, guys. Joplin Regional Stockyards only had 2,800 head after having 10,000 or more for every other sale that they've had so far this year, but it's muddy around. Everybody knew the market was going to be lower. They had cleaned up a lot of those yearlings around there, and it was mostly steady and light test, but about 2,800 head there. But we are going to see sharply lighter receipts going forward. Well, not only have we been selling cattle right along, we've pulled them forward here at the beginning of this year and late last year, and guys are pretty well sold up. And then our numbers are so tight. I was telling somebody here early this week that we're going to wake up one Monday morning, Oklahoma City's going to have 2,500 head, and your weigh up cows are going to be bringing $1.30. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. Nothing that I ever project fully does. It doesn't seem like, but that's what I feel like is going to happen, and we'll see whether or not it does. Your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was in Faith, South Dakota at the Faith Livestock Auction. 3,000 head there, but boy did they sell them well. Look at this automated marker report through Cattle Market Central, and you see the best tested weights. About 309 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 552 with a weighted average price on all of them of $214.85. 400 head 6-weight steer calves in Faith, average 654, weighted average price on all of them $198.26. 329 head of your 7-weight steer calves in Faith, South Dakota, average 722 with a weighted average price of $185.02. Look at some heifers, and it looks to me like people had some heifers there that they wanted to keep back, and then they've got short of feed and too much snow, and they decided to bring them in because they're selling more heifers than they are steer calves right now. And it's got to be some of them heifers that they plan on keeping back. 846 head of 5-weight heifer calves in Faith, South Dakota, average 543, the weighted average price of $193.94. 331 head of 6-weight heifer calves, average 645 with a weighted average price of $183.33. Here's some individual quotes around the region. How about Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa? They sell 85 steers weighed 663 at $207.25. How about Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota? They sell 61 steers weighed 832 at $183.75. Wow. Faith Livestock, which was our Zoetis stick-out sale, they sold some high calves in one individual quote. 61 steer calves weighed 574 at $226.50. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrison, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, where they had 6,000 head, and the market was dollars higher there on an attractive offering. 154 steers weigh 795 at $189.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.